Welcome to the Virtual CPA Success Show for creative agencies, the go-to resource for agency owners looking to scale their business. Join us every week to stay ahead of the curve and position your agency for future success.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's podcast. I'm excited to talk with some of my friends here that I just hung out with down in Mexico City. So welcome to the show, Christy and Jody. How are you guys doing since we've been back?
Recovering.
Very good.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a stomach bug going down there in Mexico City. We're not sure what caused it, but some of us caught it, some of us didn't. So yeah, we're back in the States now, and we're ready to go. So we're talking about the SoDA event. So there was a SoDA event in September down in Mexico City, and there was about 120 participants there. And just for those that haven't been to a SoDA event before, how it works is it's a mix of keynote speakers and also some small presentations as well as some breakout groups. So a lot of good content and a lot of chance just to really talk with agencies on how they're feeling, what they're doing, and some of the projects they're working on. So I think any other thoughts on the SoDA event you guys like to add about how the format is?
I think format.
Sure. I think that.
Covered. Yeah, go ahead, Christy.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
I think the SoDA event. I mean, I think the keynote speakers, the breakouts, all that kind of stuff is great. But I think the biggest thing is just simply mixing and mingling afterwards and sharing candid conversations on how things are going in the industry, how things are going with their shops, what's going right, what's going wrong. I think those are really the biggest takeaways that you get from really any event. So for those that just simply go for speakers and stuff like that, I think they're missing out on it. I think they really need to be mixing and mingling. And I think Tom at SoDA does a great job at making sure that happens.
Yeah, I would also add that his team does such a nice job of keeping everything organized. The materials that we had as far as leave behind so we could reference back to things, just fantastic. So shout out to Tom Beck, Kendall, Jess, and Lakai. You guys are fantastic.
Yeah, definitely agree. And I think to Jody's point, I think, or actually to both your guys' point, they do a good job making sure that you are mingling. You know, one of the nice things they do is the first day you're there, they give you assigned tables, and then you do some breakouts where you're talking to different people. But then the next day you come in and you're sitting at a different table next to different people. So they, even for those that are uncomfortable mixing and mingling, like they make a point to make you really feel comfortable there. So again, I agree. I met a lot of cool people and had a lot of great conversations about what's going on with the industry. So what I'd like to do now is just kind of, you know, one of the things that we do when we come back from these conferences internally, and so we're going to kind of give you guys an inside look, is we just each talk about our takeaways. You know, each of us go to hear different speakers or talk to different people, but also go to different breakouts. So it's kind of fun to get together and hear what each person took away. And so I'm going to start with you, Christy, of what was your big takeaway from this 3-day event?
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway would be that, you know, obviously, there were a lot of, it's a digital agency conference, right? And I think there's definitely some uncertainty with the market right now of, you know, whether we're headed for a recession, whether people think we're in a recession. However, I think that there was a very high positive spirit throughout the room. So a lot of people were focused on how do we come up with solutions, and we're very positive about it. I think whenever you go through situations like that, you can either kind of wallow in it and make it more negative, or you can bring it up. And I think that they did a really nice job of everyone in the room was really focused on how can we make it better. Michael Ventura, he did a fantastic talk about leading with empathy. And I think that's one of the things that's extremely important whenever we're talking about the digital agency space and leadership in general. And then Rashinda from Integrity, she did a really fantastic job about global growth and kind of what that means, and, you know, choosing the right words to say to make sure that we're being diverse and collective together in a positive manner. So that's probably my biggest takeaway is the positivity.
Great. Yeah, no, I think the nice thing for me as a leader in this organization, a leader at Summit is I learn a lot about the agencies and what they're doing, but I also have some takeaways for myself. And I think that those speakers both really rung out to me. And I think during both those talks, Jody and I were texting each other about ideas of oh, why aren't we doing this? Or why can't we take some of these steps? And so I think that happens at every meeting, is not only do we learn about the clients that we serve, but we also take a lot of stuff internally. Mm-hmm. So I think that's also a big part of these events for us, or at least for me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, mine was, Jack Skeels with Agency Agile is a friend for a long time, and and he did a really good talk on, basically that we're getting too bloated in management. And that was one of the things I took away. It's like, are we truly getting bloated? And I was looking internally, but I was looking at firms themselves. As they get bigger, we tend to create jobs and titles and so forth. And those titles don't necessarily have really anything to add value to. It's so he's more focusing on an agile organization, one that's a little flatter, that has less management, and in turn becomes a lot more profitable. Because as we grow, a lot of times we grow, but we grow unprofitably, and that's because, again, we're adding layers of people, because labor is our number one expense in the agency world, and with that, we have to make sure that we're managing that effectively. And so Jack gave a really great talk on it, and I'm sure that talk's probably somewhere out in the internet somewhere where we can look at it. But really talks about, hey, breaking it down from, hey, the old way of doing things versus, really here's the way that's going to be, that you'll be more profitable in a better run company.
And that's the theme of his new book, right? Is about the management effect and, having too many managers. So I think that if anyone is really interested, and I think to Jody's point, one of the things we see a lot, both internally and externally, is as people grow in their careers, they want to grow with title and they want to grow into different roles. And so if you're trying to accommodate that across the board, sometimes you get, wow, I have 15 managers and 4 workers. Like, how is this ever going to work? So it's a pretty common problem among small businesses, because it's not like you're at a 10,000 person company where you have room for that many managers. You have to eventually figure out ways to still challenge people, still help people grow without putting them into that manager role.
Yeah, which kind of leads to the second one. We had actually a couple talks ourselves, and one of them was with Tom O'Neill with Parallax, and I really did get a ton out of that, even though we actually gave the presentation, which is kind of funny. Normally you don't get a ton out of your own presentation, but hearing Tom's insight while we were giving the presentation, I thought was pretty eye-opening on really what how resourcing comes into play in making decisions and so forth, and how easy it is for us to do it on the back of a napkin, or do it on an Excel spreadsheet, or doing something like that, which is very vulnerable to mistakes. And using a software like a Parallax to help plan has really made our lives a lot easier here at Summit, with our clients. But I could see how something like that would really benefit clients in general.
Yeah, it's like all about capacity management, right? I think all of us kind of go through that. So the Parallax tool was really helpful in that way. And so I'm glad that we were able to collaborate with him.
Yeah, I think collaborating with Tom was a great idea. We do our presentations, and we get, not that they're bad presentations, sometimes we get a little canned, and Jody and I end up telling the same stories. When you throw a different party in there, it's just, then you work off each other a little bit more. So having Tom there, someone we've worked with a lot, talked to a lot, and gone to a lot of events with, there's a natural flow there of making our breakout groups better. So I definitely appreciated having Tom there.
So Jamie, what's your big one there?
Yeah, so I was blown away by AI again. So anytime I go to one of these events, the big topics nowadays are AI. And as someone in the finance area and in the accounting area, I'd say for a person in that background, I'm pretty up to speed on AI. But when you go to something like this, where people who are working with it every day, it's just shocking to me how much you can do. And there was a speaker, Wesley Tarhar, who went up there and spoke. And the line that resonates with me that he said, and he spoke for about 30 minutes, but the one line I keep going back to is today, AI is the worst it's ever going to be. And that's just AI in general, right? Like, AI is getting better every day because it learns from itself. It's artificial intelligence. So the same was true yesterday, the same was true the day before that, and the same is true tomorrow, is that AI is the worst it's ever going to be. So it just keeps getting better and better. So I think that the speaking was really good, but then after that, what really helped me was just going into a breakout group. I was in a breakout group for about an hour, and just hearing what people are doing with AI is really important when it comes to AI, is having those conversations. And I had a list of, I think I took 3 pages of notes in that 1 hour breakout of just ideas of stuff I can do that I never would have thought of before if I wasn't hearing other people do it. And so that to me is the key. And I think since I've been back, I think we've been back like 3 or 4 weeks now, like I've already started creating a Wikipedia bot for our clients, for our CFOs, like a wiki bot where they can come in and just ask questions and take all of our meetings, all of our trainings, all of our notes, and have it in one spot where people could just ask a question instead of having to like search. What's a bank I can use for my clients? They can actually interact with a bot and get those questions answered. And so that's one thing I've worked on, where being a lot more proactive about recording our meetings and using AI for that. And so again, that's the biggest takeaway for me, and really what I've been spending the majority of my time since I've been back is implementing some of these ideas other people have. And so if you know a lot about AI or you don't know a lot about AI, my advice is find a group just to once a month or frequently just sit down and talk about what they're doing, because you're going to hear something that you hadn't thought of, because I know I did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, Jamie mentioned earlier they took 3 pages of notes. Now, again, that's 1 word per page. Just keep that in mind. So, those out there, we need to
I have really big handwriting. Yeah, no, I could not write fast enough. Like I'm pretty sure my paper was almost on fire, like smoking with all my notes. So, but yeah, that was my biggest takeaway. And then after that, like the amount of people I was probably the annoying guy in the room that kept asking people about AI after like at all the dinners and stuff, because I was so like somewhat obsessed with it after that breakout. Cool. So I loved hearing everybody in the room's experiences. Like I said, we all kind of get different experiences when we go. Anybody talk to someone that they just in a side conversation? Joe, I know you said those are important. Did you talk to anybody that just kind of like brought an opinion to you or something you hadn't thought of before, and just in those side conversations?
Yeah, a lot of side conversations. I guess my biggest one's kind of funny. It's that I found that one of the people there go to Mexico City to find out I've got a neighbor, and then we're going to start playing pickleball, literally within a half a mile to a mile from my house. So that's kind of funny. Go to Mexico City to find someone that was right next to you. Yeah, I would say the side conversations we're fairly similar. A lot of them were talking about the uncertainty in the environment. Christy mentioned a little bit earlier about how deals are starting to take longer to close, the uncertainty on whether they're going to close or not, and just kind of the stretching out of what's going to happen. And from my view, 2024, are we going to have a recession? Are we in one? So forth. I think it's going to become more and more prevalent for everyone. They're gonna have a better. They're gonna have to actually work that into their modeling, their forecasting modeling. And then in addition to that, we've got the elections coming up. So usually there's some big pauses before elections, on uncertainty. So 2024 will be a little, I think, a little different. And you have to make sure that you're managing that in a solid forecast, a solid, basically being on top of it on a regular basis and making decisions quickly, making sure you've got the cash in your bank to be able to handle that. I think those were the really big conversations that we had, outside of the fact that pickleball is a great game. I'm going to start working on it.
Have you started playing yet? That's what I want to know.
No, I have not. I have not been back. This is my first couple of days back.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you've been traveling still.
Yeah, I've been traveling.
That'll be fun. I'm excited to see you become that pickleball guy. That's all you talk about. Like pickleball is one of those things where people just become obsessed with it, and it's like every meeting. I played pickleball this morning, so excited to see Jody become the pickleball guy.
I will add to that. I just got back from another conference that was an AI CPA event, which is an accounting, basically accounting society event, national event, and they had one of the founders or one of the high executives of ChatGPT speak. And that was pretty enlightening. Kind of piggyback on what was talked at the SoDA conference and how AI, basically they gave us a runway to 2026. How AI is going to change things so dramatically from now to 2026. They'll be doing things completely different. So that was pretty eye opening, and just basically hearing that concept alone, not just simply changing the way that we do things, but changing everything, which was pretty amazing to hear some insight from somebody that helped create the platform we're using today.
Great. Yeah, no, again, I wish I was at the conference with you, because that's been my obsession, but I'm sure you took lots of notes for me. So any final thoughts from you, Christy, before we hand this over to our listeners?
Yeah, it was a little bit like drinking from a fire hose for me, because it was my first SoDA event. So of course there was so many people that already had relationships, so I was kind of jumping into it with both feet. Luckily, they did have a lot of like icebreakers, almost like speed dating, get to know each other events. And then I took it upon myself to, make sure at dinners and after dinners, get to know people. So that was really positive as well. And a lot of the folks that were there in our ideal client profile. And so it made it easier for the conversations, because they're going through some of the same things that our existing clients are going through. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I guess as a first-time attendee, I mean, for our listeners, I think hopefully most of our listeners have some kind of event like this they go to. But if not, if people are hesitant, what kind of advice would you give to a first-time attendee?
Go into it just very positive. Think about, if you can get an attendees list first in advance and really like think about the people that you want to build relationships with, who is there from a mentor perspective that you could learn from. Those are the things that I would do. And as far as like the lunches and dinners, make sure you're attending. Make sure you're sitting at a different table instead of getting stuck with the same people all the time. Kind of spread yourself around because there's so much diversity of thought and so many dynamic people in the room. You want to get a chance to know everyone.
Yeah, no, I think the funny thing is, the three of us were together in the same country, in the same city for 4 days, but hardly even talk to each other because that's, we definitely take that model of let's go meet as many people as possible. Like it would have been easy for the three of us to have every dinner together and just kind of stay in our comfort zone. But like I know all three of us don't really feel like that's the purpose of going there. So we try to get out and talk to as many people as possible.
Yeah, and I do say definitely take care of. Don't go to an event like that with the idea that, hey, you're going to clock out at 5 o'clock and then do something on your own the rest of the time. If you do that, great. I just don't think you're going to capture all the extra benefits that you get from, just conversing with other people, having a drink at the bar, whether you drink or not, glass of water, whatever it might be, having a drink at the bar, going out for dinner afterwards, that sort of thing. That's where really you get the best bang for your buck in an event like that.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, in conclusion, find an event, find people to talk to, find people that have common interests as you to talk to. And again, I would highly recommend SoDA, not only because the event is great, but also they choose really cool locations. So obviously this year was Mexico City. The year before was in Athens, Greece. So obviously a little bit more expensive to get to, but really cool places to visit. So definitely appreciate you guys coming on the show and get, like I said, giving our listeners kind of an inside look of what we talk about when we come back from these events and compare notes. So definitely appreciate your guys' time today.
You bet.
Thanks, Jamie.
Enjoy this podcast? Visit our website, summitcpa.net, to get more tips and strategy for achieving business success. We're here to be a resource in this ever-changing industry.